Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Smite Draft League. Week 3 here. Divine Division. Seismic Shockwaves taking on Dark Omen. I'm Deelo, joined here by this wide-eyed loaf of bread, JeeringLamb. Jeering man, how we feeling?
I'm feeling good. No more time to be loafing around. We got some games to get done. Seismic Shockwaves and Dark Omen. We see some pretty good names out here. I'm seeing a lot of talent coming out. I'm expecting to see some pretty good action to follow up on it. What do you think we're expecting to go?
I mean, this patch, it's been pretty consistent despite the small changes we've seen across these top meta threats. So you have Ravana, who's experienced a small little dink in his shield, but overall, it's been remaining pretty consistent. And game ones, you like to address those top tier threats. So I'm liking what I'm seeing so far across the board. Baba, Marty, Yorm, top threats, get him out of here.
Very, very dangerous, especially that Marty. I feel like I haven't seen him actually play because he's been banned so much just because of that damage output and how absolutely terrifying it is. So credit to them. That's going to be a very good thing to get rid of. Problem is, it still leaves things like Sun Wukong. There goes the Thor. I still see a Kali open, but there's still other things that they have the option of picking up. But a Shibalanka ban, definitely not the usual thing that you see in the top 3.
It's a bit strange. They already had eliminated the Thor on the side of Dark Omen, so you're not even going to see that combination that's so potent. But interesting, maybe Seismic Shockwave saying we just really don't want to deal with these high threat damage dealers. Dark Omen going to potentially match it with a frontline threat here in the Sun Wukong. I mean, it's been pretty prevalent. What are our thoughts on that as our potential first pick?
Sun Wukong has been
Take
very
pleasure
prevalent
in the
solo
crushing of
laner
one's
and
enemies.
definitely very solid at maintaining lane and then applying that pressure to the backline, especially in the late game. But somebody who also does that extremely well, the Ravana, who ends up getting first picked instead. But that does also tip the hat that Seismic Shockwaves can still pick up the Sun Wukong.
And they might just be obliging you, Jeering. Indeed, Sun Wukong going to be the matchup, but must be said here with the recent changes of Ravana, some people take him to the jungle, some people take him to the solo. It's a bit of a wily pick, and Dark Omen might just leave Seismic Shockwaves in the dark as to what their game plan is for a bit longer. Rama, though, I mean, lore-wise, this is very fitting, isn't it? Gonna hunt down the Demon King of Lanka, and that's hopefully going to be a solid carry pick for Seismic Shockwaves.
May your burdens not hold you
Rama
back.
is just a very solid ADC in general and can really pull off a lot of things. Having that safety of the Astral Barrage certainly does give you some extra options as far as safety and CC immunity. Not to mention the fact that you can get some good damage in from very far away. So the 7th Avatar of Vishnu is definitely going to be a very solid pick pretty much any point in the game, especially because you can flex build very, very well.
And now, all eyes on the duo lane here. After picking up a carry, Dark Omen gonna say, we want to do that too. Gonna grab themselves a Cernunos and an Atlas to match. Have to imagine those are both going to be residents of that long lane. Geb going to be Seismic Shockwave's pick to even it on out.
Geb is definitely going to be a very solid pick. If you can get the ball rolling early, especially with some really good peel, some great CC setup for your team, if you can manage to survive that early game, especially with those really long cooldowns, you can just keep rocking the rest of the game, and Geb is very good at that.
And not to mention, it's a mascot bonus. I mean, I've seen the Immortal Storm, or sorry, I think it was Divine Stormcallers, in fact, rocking the shock, and I think Seismic Shockwaves want to capture a bit of that glory, because I think there's just some sort of innate power buff you get when you're rocking your own team's representative. So hopefully going to be doing the Geb justice, and Seismic Shockwave going to finish off with some mid and jungle bans. Now, I like this. Dark Omen have kind of kept their cards a bit close to their chest here. We don't know quite where the Raven is going to be moving, so potentially, depending on whether it's a solo Raven or a jungle, that Kali ban might go for naught.
It's entirely possible that we do see a solo Rav, because some old habits do tend to die hard. Also possible to take it jungle, especially because in the most recent patch, Rav did receive a little bit of a power buff to the 1, so it is entirely possible to see it go either way. It just depends on what the playstyle of Dark Omen is and how they want to run that. So with this most recent pick, I think we have our answer.
Thanatos going to be going the way of Dark Omen, and that definitely ensures that they've wasted that Kali ban. So hey, credit to Dark Omen for playing it a bit tricky even before the game begins. I like it. What does the Thanatos bring their comp?
Thanatos is great at that early pressure if he can apply it. If he does end up getting shut down early, it can be pretty detrimental.
It won't matter.
But with some really good engage, especially on that hovering death, you can get in, get a nice stun from a pretty solid distance away, and unless you have some good wards or you're keeping an eye on the skies, you can get caught out of position really early if you don't have any CC immunity. And that's
You have
gonna be
yet
pretty
to
good
see
in
the
mid-round.
meaning of cruel.
And hopefully going to see the Thoth also duking it out pretty well with Trollacademy piloting that one in just a second. Or sorry, not Troll. Opposite there. It is Troll. Yeah, Troll going to be piloting that one on the Ibis. To match it though, jungle threat of their own, Seismic Shockwaves going to grab themselves the Daji.
Daji's also going to be very solid here, considering the fact that both Thoth and Kronos do not have CC immunity in their base kit. Dark Omen is going to have to really use those beads to maximum effect. Otherwise, that Paolo is really going to leave them with some burns that they don't want.
Well, only one way to see if those beads will be expended properly is by getting right into the game. Just a moment, stick around. Game 1 coming up. Hello everyone and welcome back to the SDL Week 3 Divine Division Dark Omen squaring off against Seismic Shockwaves. I'm Deelo, once again joined here by JeeringLamb, and just, Jeering, comp for comp, man, where do we think the chips fall? Who do you think has the edge?
We do see quite a bit of early aggression coming out of Dark Omen, especially with that Thanatos, who kind of rides or dies on that early aggression, unless you're Rapio. But Seismic Shockwaves do have a little bit to spare for themselves. As we see on the other side of the map, Daji and Merlin, especially Rama, go really well into that late game.
So you're going to have to expect that those sites need to, 1, be thrown out a lot, but 2, need to hit their mark. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit of rough pickings here for Dark Omen. Trollacademy here in the mid lane. Love to see that. I know that man's been begging to get out of solo jail for some time, as we see the Geb thrown into jail of the tier 1 tower. Totally poggers. Gonna find the first kill and the first blood for Dark Omen.
The fact that you actually just said totally poggers on a cast.
It's the name, bro. What do you want from me? It's poggers.
Deelo.
That kill was poggers. Solid work there by the Atlas.
A lot of
He was
people
gonna
have
throw
said
a
my
fit.
jokes are bad.
That's what his name is, bro. It's TP. TP. We'll call him that instead then. But anyway, it's a great kill to be afforded to your carry this early. And being that it's on the team that has that early game aggression, not what you want to see on the side of the Shockwaves. In their case, though, they have the solo lane where the aggression's certainly spelling their way. SwagMaster putting it up against Forerunner.
Ravana is definitely known for being able to sustain, but Sun Wukong is known for just as much, as we see a lot of aggression mid.
The dot damage not going to quite bleed the Thanatos dry. Troll's going to have to try to ward off that aggression with that Glyph of Pain. Toss some basics at him real quick. When it comes to the Thoth, you mentioned that there's a bit of inherent lack of safety with the CC immune ult, but as far as staying safe, there we go. I was about to say, please use that evade and punish. What else does he provide your comp that slots in well with the rest of Dark Omen?
Thoth does have the ability of being able to use some really good range and poke as that artillery mage, especially through some walls. And since there isn't a whole lot of active peel, the front line kind of relying on Atlas to really survive and peel for the team. He only has that one pluck. So if that doesn't quite work out against, like, let's say Sun Wukong ulting in, then you kind of want to keep your range. And Thoth really good for that.
You're gonna have to really, like you said, only one pluck. You only pluck once, Yopo. And hopefully, Sponge Monkey going to save that in pocket for the time it matters most. You need to make sure that if you're going to use it aggressively, you're getting a kill. And if you use it defensively, you're saving someone's life. Dark Omen, nicely done there to just use to their advantage that early aggression. But Seismic Shockwaves going to counter it right back, trying to starve out the Cernunos. Where do we think we win off in the trade of the buffs?
Purple buff is definitely going to be just as valuable as another buff, but given the fact that it's split across 2 people, having that extra farm is definitely going to be a lot nicer. It really depends on if you want to focus on the solo side or the duo side, because if you invade both, then one side gets an advantage in one way, the other side gets another advantage. So it really does come down to which side do they want to play around, and since Thanatos rocking some early pressure, as well as Trollacademy not trolling at all, takes Reyhum down for a solo kill.
Nicely done there, and Ganondad not going to find the rotation quickly enough to really match it, and not even having level 5 yet either, only just ticking on over. Can't feel too great. Trollacademy saying, this is why you put me here. Thank God this man got out of jail.
Out of jail into the mid lane and into popularity. That's really going to be a nice solo kill, especially to put the Merlin behind. Merlin does not feel the greatest when he's down in farm. And right now, if they can continue that with a really solid early pressure from Thanatos, being able to ult in with Hovering Death, they can keep this Merlin down. Maybe not quite out, definitely not feeling great for quite a while.
And that's always a question that I think pops up when you have this global ultimate, the Hovering Death, afforded by Thanatos. Do you decide to use it to initiate the fight, to bring on the damage for the rest of your team, or do you use it as a cleanup here in the early game? How often and when do we want to see the Hovering Death come out?
When you have an ultimate like that that can get you over walls and into a lane really quickly, those ganks can become a lot faster. So being able to just pop your ultimate off cooldown and either force beads or just get a kill, it's always going to be a valuable tool, but you just don't really want to use it defensively as long as you can get something out of it, whether it's farm or just get a kill. Both are good.
A lot of abilities going wide here. Now Trollacademy using beads, but what for, buddy? He's just going to script scratch you in the back. Trollacademy going to be taken out by Ganondad. DeceptionFusion having to use beads to escape the Powwow. Monkey will be monkeying around a little bit with that ability, but not quite too worse for it. Unfortunate there, though, for Dark Omen. Seismic Shockwaves put themselves onto the board.
It's going to be a nice kill over in the mid lane and a really good return on the pressure. That puts Dodgy ahead of Thanatos now.
Horn Dash going to be used to expend and get away from that dodge. It was funny. You saw a bit of pressure come out from TP onto Ganondad, but then I think he realized, I have 2 levels on this guy, and turned right back around. Actually, in fact, despite that 1 kill, Sununos has fallen behind a little bit as far as levels compared to ZakuZz. Might be some credit to be afforded thanks to that purple buff invade, but SwagMaster can't say the same thing. Feeling a bit bad about these basics landing on his back.
Definitely not going to be a great feeling when you're already low HP and there's a full HP Ravana with a health shield just taking down wave, shoving it out under tower, and there's not really much you can do. So right now, he's going to have to pray his team can continue that aggression over on the other side of the map.
He's saying, oh yeah, 7%. That feels a lot better. Thanks, Hi-Rez. That's what he's saying right now. He's like, yeah, this is a way better lane. Thanks. Appreciate the matchup difference. But Forerunner really running it down. Just going to continue the unabated aggression. Dodgy might make a rotation on over, but the form of the Ox going to need to get you some space away from a Mystic Rush. Going to just be put onto the Bastion. Keep on wailing on it, why don't you? Rotation here from both junglers, but there's a slight edge to Ganondad. Hovering Death going to be expended. Can you find the kill? Would be a very risky endeavor, realizing that he might just crash instead onto the jungler. But now it's become a 2v1. Solid damage being put onto his back. The stone shield going to protect Ganon from quite a bit of Fanny's damage. But Ganon may be pushing a bit too far. Here comes Sponge Monkey around the back, going to drop the ultimate, drop the Astrolabe, and drop the kill. Going to be a trade, jungle for jungle. What more can Dark Omen afford? There's the big suck. Pull it back in. Look out, Swagmaster. You might be dying as well. Going to be a kill there for the support. And Geb can only watch. Unfortunate there. A bit of an overextension by Seismic Shockwaves to return onto Dark Omen.
With no Somersault Cloud available, Senwakog will unfortunately be sucked right back to his death. And that'll be a nice 1 for 2 for the hands of Dark Omen, and a nice 4-2 lead on the kills board. So far, farm is going their way at least a little bit. May not be a massive advantage, but every little bit will help.
Small victories always lead to big victories here, so Dark Omen can feel good, and just always a mental game, as I like to say. Being 4-2, gotta feel good, and you're feeling like you're accomplishing your purpose here, having that early game comp. But the issue is reality and fantasy are a bit different things, as Totally Poggers is not feeling Totally Poggers at the hands of these basic. snipes to match. Can you get the next shots off? The third might be able to still secure it, but the game of Ring Around the Rosie will end in favor of Dark Omen. Big ult off the side of Seismic Shockwaves, but it was a very solid attempt there by ZakuZz.
Certainly making a rotation to secure the purple buff once again, but with a lot of people here, bees will be expended early.
Yeah, and you needed it for that Cataclysm, buddy. Ganondad gonna pick up that kill with the quickness. Tried to pre-beads the rollout, but it might have just even knocked you further out. Was not able to quite evade and was punished for it. There goes the Thoth. That's gonna grant Shockwaves a little bit more early pressure here as they take a traipse into the enemy jungle. 4-3 reads the scoreboard 9 minutes in.
Brooklyn will manage to land the Cataclysm this time, and he'll just keep on rocking with it. He does manage to set up a nice kill for his team. And with 4 people invading the back camps, Seismic Shockwaves definitely feeling a lot better about that one.
Yeah, and that's going to be, unfortunately, a bit of a backslide for Dark Omen when they want to be the aggressors, like you said. It's feeling a bit too even, a bit too early in the game. The question is the early game already out of your hands? Has Deception's time to shine fallen off, or is there still some minutes of fame to hold on to?
Thanatos does still have some options available, but as time goes on, Thanatos' just golden early pressure loses its golden value, so it becomes a little bit harder to exert, especially as other relics come up and you're forced to use Hovering Death defensively.
Never feels good to do so. I know iNooblet's begging him to go aggression because that's what he always says in his soul game. If you're using your ultimate, I damn better see you using it aggressively. Not going to quite see it this time, though, from DeceptionFusion, opting to save his own life instead. And that's the play that I agree with, Deception. Don't listen to a word iNooblet says. Fantastic work there to get yourself out of that fight. But it doesn't feel good overall, because once again, it's just another 40 seconds where you can't be doing what Thani wants to be doing. Ganondad, in the meantime, though, has been doing exactly what the Daji wants, which is getting that early pressure to get to the late game, ensure that she will be able to do those big numbers later on. Might be a blue buff invade as 3 members rotate in from Seismic Shockwaves. And now, the man carrying the big Astrolabe going to try to give the suck to Ganondad. Not quite going to succeed on that note. Mystic Rush to try to secure that blue buff for yourself. And now, Trollacademy trying to rotate in. He's back from jail, has to revisit his old stomping grounds, but doesn't want to get stomped himself by the Powwow. Evades those chains very nicely. It's going to be a draw. I'm not even sure who got that blue buff.
Does look like Dark Omen will end up coming out of that one just fine. They do manage to bait out the Powwow, so it's going to be a very valuable resource down and not available for Seismic Shockwaves, but ADC for Seismic Shockwaves going way better. Hovering Death coming in for a return gank.
He sees him going to the sky, says that sounds like fun. I'll do the exact same. Astral Barrage, and the silence is off the mark. The Scythe as well. DeceptionFusion was deceived to think that Thanatos would be doing this well in the early game. Caught down, caught up by ZakuZz. Fantastic work to make quick work of that Thani. And now, totally poggers. It has nothing to do really just but retreat as another purple buff is swindled away from him.
1-0-0, but down 3 levels. Not a very good feeling. Still some time to make it back into the game, but Dark Omen not off to the greatest start as Seismic Shockwaves opt to 4-man this Gold Fury.
And with the objective burden that you mentioned prior that Merlin provides, easy pickings there for Seismic Shockwaves. And the Beacon's about to come up too. Question is, do we decide to go for that as a way to maybe re-ascertain some of that pressure that Dark Omen has lost?
Dark Omen is definitely going to try and get there as early as possible, but Seismic Shockwaves looking for a return gank. Will get there in time, just before it drops.
They have some space control, but I think Seismic Shockwaves, off of that Fury, are feeling fine letting Dark Omen take that. They say, go on ahead. We have a 1,000 gold lead. We have a cushion to fall back on. 12 minutes in. Scoreboard reads 4-4. And the level disparities, not in the places you want them. Mid, jungle, carry is looking scary, but overall their damage dealers are all on the up and up.
Seismic Shockwaves definitely feeling really good about those level leads that they're able to get, especially considering the fact that Thanatos down in levels, definitely not the greatest feeling in the Smite game. And since mid we just ticked over to 2 levels and ADC looking at 3, you're definitely looking at a story to tell coming from the backliners of Seismic Shockwaves that Dark Omen just dreaming that they could tell one day.
So in that case, then, we're seeing things start to slide a bit out of control, but not completely careened away from us just yet. ZakuZz is going to try to put some more shots into Pogger's back, but not quite enough for the Astral Barrage to secure anything. Who do we play through on Dark Omen? I think we can agree that, this might be troublesome now, because the snipes are going to land. You don't might not even need the gank, my friend. Solid work. Puts 2 snipes in your back to finish the job. Ganondad enters the fight, but put into execute range. Will the execute be on point? The POW out on that. Fantastic work, and now you got a party with the Daji. Expends the beads for safety, but doesn't quite have the sight strike to find the last vestiges of damage to get the kill. DeceptionFusion once again deceived. Thought you had the execute on mark. Not quite, my friend. You're going to be meeting the grayscale yourself. Now Trollacadimy going to try to evade, punish them for trying to follow. But the Merlin with the last bits not going to be able to quite take out the Ibis of Dark Omen. That's going to be still a very solid engagement for Seismic Shockwaves. Another 2 kills in their pocket.
A nice buff invade and some extra farm in their pockets always going to be a good feeling, especially when you can take it away from Dark Omen. There may not be a gold period for them to get this time around, but every little bit helps, and it will continue the slow bleed that Dark Omen finds himself with, especially considering Daji is sitting in a very solid position, 3-1, 2 levels up on the other jungler. Seismic Shockwaves feeling good enough to try and look for Pyromancer if they can get the space.
They don't quite feel comfortable just yet. Maybe they're breathing down a bit too hard on their necks on the side of Dark Omen, but Forerunner going to be feeling that aggression as a 3-man rotation comes in. Mystic Rush, though, grants him just enough space and safety to remain alive for now. A bit of a wasted effort there by Seismic Shockwaves, but an admirable one nonetheless.
Robin's definitely going to be pretty hard to deal with, especially when you have 2 physical defense items, but they do manage to get him to back off, relieve some of the pressure, and that does allow them a little bit more space to go for the Pyromancer now, as Dark Omen might be finding out.
Seismic Shockwaves, take 2. Pyromancer fight. Let's see if we can make it happen this time. Astrol's going to be thrown down just as a bit of an area denial, but Pal out in the midst of 3 members could be troublesome. Hovering Death has been expended, and where will she go now? Going to land on their heads? Not quite. In fact, he's going to land to be knocked up by SwagMaster, and retreating from the fight, Deception no longer feels comfortable to continue hanging around. But it's the front line that are trying to find something to get off of here. Too much has been used, they say, for us to leave this fight to the wayside, but to the side is where it's going to have to be left because everyone is already disengaged. Dark Omen say, all right, we'll do this then. Take 3, Pyromancer. Let's see if they can make it happen. Brooklyn Raps stepping up, but I don't know if this is a battle rap for you to be in, my friend. Astral Barrage going to try to find the snipes. Not quite successful in that endeavor. Dark Omen grabbed the Pyromancer. Might be grabbing the Geb shortly after his Stone Shield's been used, and Brooklyn Raps will go down. DeceptionFusion, he had a feeling that if he stuck around, it would end poorly. He's gonna go down. Sponge Monkey and Troll as well. Things turn around too quickly. Forerunner gonna drop the bomb. You don't even have it in your pocket yet, my friend. No, everything for Dark Omen just crumbled to pieces. It might be a 60-minute deicide, not quite. Totally Poggers feeling good about that little defensive play. The Wild Hunt dropped at his feet to ensure his life, but 4 down for Dark Omen. That Pyro is a just distant memory.
You may have gotten the Pyromancer, but at what cost? As Seismic Shockwaves now barreling down into your back camps and stripping away an Oni Fury. That's going to be a nice extra bit of pressure and farm in the pockets that I'm sure they're feeling pretty good about.
17 minutes in, nearly 5k gold lead. It does not feel good to be on Dark Omen right now. I think we can agree. I was saying to it earlier before the 3-man gank took place on the Pogger side. Thanatos no longer has the limelight. What's his role going to be in future engagements? Because right now we just haven't seen it come to fruition.
Trying to find that execute at the end or using an offensive stun to get in is also an option, but right now
Farm seems to be under a lot of pressure. Executed by ZakuZz. You can't step up this far when he's got a 5-level lead on you. Gonna be a 5th kill expended. Rampage for the Rama. Dark Omen just can't team fight. Can't take these single engagements in the jungle. They can't guerrilla war it. What is their play to get back into this game, Jeering?
Right now, all Dark Omen can do is just try and take farm wherever they can get it. But right now, that's not working the way that they're hoping for. Seismic Shockwaves continuing to put the pressure on them, making it even harder to try and even clear some back camps. Seismic Shockwaves really doing a good job of making sure they can't do anything.
Troll gonna have to use those beads, and the chains are just gonna continue falling for some extra damage, but a big stun by DeceptionFusion. But again, you can't close it if you don't have that execute. Trolls re-entered the fight, but what for, my friend? Please, make your way out before the snipes claim your life. ZakuZz from far down, bang! Shoots 3 and deep, takes out the Thoth once again. Tier 1 now looking to be the center of aggression. Forerunner rotates into the back, looks for Ganondad, but doesn't quite have the damage to do the job and close it out. And now it's totally Poggers who's under pressure. Unstoppable for the Rom, who's been lurking in the back. The members of Dark Omen just kind of caught out, a bit disconcerted, disoriented. What can they do to counter? DeceptionFusion going to fall thanks to ZakuZz, and Reyhum going to take down Sponge Monkey. It's only Forerunner. He's going to take down the Shadow Clone. Hopefully that feels a bit good for you, but it's a consolation prize when 4 of your teammates lie dead on the field.
Seismic Shockwaves with a very clean conversion on that team fight. Beautiful snipes coming out from ZakuZz to secure a kill in the back. And overall, just an incredibly well done team fight. Being able to take that many lives without expending any of your own. A few ultimates means nothing if you manage to survive. And Seismic Shockwaves pushing it to the max. Dark Omen reeling after those losses.
What's been the key to Seismic Shockwaves' success? How have they been able to so easily run these team fights in the direction they want to?
Right now, they just have so much burst that Dark Omen doesn't have nearly enough defense or survivability to try and escape that. Without CC immunity, they do have beats to rely on, but it's not going to be enough to survive against a team like this. Seismic Shockwaves looking for more.
Sponge Monkey going to be the target of their aggressions. Going to have to just pop that bubble real quick. The Magi's Blessing says, I'm sick and tired of these instances of hard CC. Forerunner agrees. He's going to try to find his way on out. Doesn't have the Mystic Rush to expend for safety, and Ganondad is going to pick up that kill as well as a killing spree. Trollacadimy, those Glyphs of Pain are not going to be expending much of the namesake. If Ray just finds one of these basics, evade and punish, will he make it out? Not if the Geb has anything to say about it, but that Shockwave is not looking quite too seismic. Reyhum gonna find the killing spree onto the opposing mid laner. Sponge Monkey, take 2. No bubble for you this time, my friend. And no kinetic charge either. Drops down the Astrolabe for some space and safety. But Reyhum, in the meantime, could be in trouble here from DeceptionFusion. One more hit will do it. Doesn't have the damage. You should have invested in a Mannequin Scepter, my friend. I do not know why he didn't have just one more tick. So unfortunate, as Sponge Monkey also falls on the reverse side. Another engagement that just Dark Omen cannot find heads or tails of, and Pyromancer will continue to extend Seismic Shockwave's lead. It's now 9k deep. Dark Omen have quite the ditch to work their way out of.
Beautiful Aegis coming out from Reyhum to immune the damage from Hovering Death. Stalled just long enough to survive to get back under tower. And unfortunately, that's going to leave DeceptionFusion without an ultimate, without a kill, and with some questions to ask himself. Did have the blink available, but not going to be able to do anything with it. As now, Seismic Shockwaves bailing down the solo side. Try to strip out some towers. Not willing to go for Fire Giant just yet. Maybe looking for a better opportunity, or even a deicide to try and take it. As Blink is expended by Forerunner, to get some extra safety.
I think it's the wise play. I mean, they're really can do no wrong on the side of Seismic Shockwaves when it comes to their team fight. So why even risk Dark Omen getting an in into this game and giving them more big objectives? But this could be the start of something. Dark Omen does grab a Gold Fury, trying to maybe massage the pain points of their team fights, say, we'll go where they aren't. But Seismic Shockwave's gonna counter that and say, you're all over there? Okay, we'll just take down a Fire Giant and maybe grab Forerunner as the takeaway prize. Gonna be the Powwow expended as well as some snipes. I don't even know what abilities we're dropping down on this man. Is this all necessary, guys? It's just a Ravana. Leave him be. Reyhum gonna pick up the kill. And the Shadow Clone gonna lead down, just beat down Trollacadimy a few times more. Tier 2 tower in the right side will fall. 4 members of Dark Omen stand up against it, but Seismic Shockwaves, happy with what damage they've wrought, gonna strip the jungle and retreat back.
Our friend in the solo lane 4 couldn't run forever, and does end up falling just before reaching the Phoenix line. Very unfortunate pick, but Seismic Shockwaves do have Fire Giant on all 5 members, so unfortunately, they may have gotten the Gold Fury and a little bit of farm, but end up losing the life of their solo laner, so what can you do?
What can you do? I don't know. Dark Omen, they've lost their time to shine. Their comp was built for the early. You said it in the first 5 minutes of the game. And now Seismic Shockwaves playing to their comp strengths and playing to the best of their abilities. You have to, in these situations, wait for the aggressing team to step one toe out of line and counterpunch. Otherwise, you're just going to get caught lacking each time. Totally Poggers might indeed fall victim to that theory. Has to Horn Dash away from the Sun Wukong, but it's a big rollout. Decks him into the wall. Wild Hunt and the ultimates from each of the front lines to match. But here comes your own savior. It's going to be Atlas bearing the Astral, a bit off the mark with that. Just going to use his body as a shield instead. But will it save the life of your fellow dual laner? The snipes to match. Not going to need it, though. Swagmasters on the scene. There goes Totally Poggers. Sponge Monkey dropping down to low, low, low. Heavenly Agility going to have to be used to expend and make sure the support stays alive.
But it won't be for too long if he stays. Seismic Shockwave's going to go ahead and barrel into the Phoenix, dropping a bomb on it. Dropping it very quickly.
That's going to be already 25 minutes in, a left side Phoenix down, the worst Phoenix to deal with. It does not feel good. Forerunner's once again guarding this tier 2. Wham! Just out of nowhere, RKO'd by the Geb. Fantastic work to just continue barreling into, as you said, any member of Dark Omen who's in your way. Moving down the mid lane, but a nice suck in to get them a bit of Phoenix damage. Gamma Ray's been expended as well, but not for too much damage on that end. Troll is now the apple of their eye, but they can't quite find it. And Thanatos lurks in the sky, but can't quite find the execute. Is instead taken out of the battle himself by Swagmaster. He's got the better aerial ultimate for you. Howlow's been used, but not going to pull anyone quite in. Forerunner looking to try to just dip out of this fight using the Mystic Rush. Catches Swagmaster with a rush in the meantime, but Ganondad will not be denied some blood. Sponge Monkey will go down. Will this already be the Titan call? 2 members down, but the damage core remains. Swagmaster is pretty low. Wild Hunt being used, but the Titan nonetheless is being dropped. Ganondad gonna take down Poggers. Forerunner goes down, and it's just a precursor to the Titan. Dark Omen. Sub 25 minutes, unfortunately, we'll see the end of Game 1. Seismic Shockwaves take it. That felt like it was over before it even began, Jeering. That was a quickie there from Seismic Shockwaves. Fantastic job on their end. Talk to me about this game. What happened?
That was just a commanding lead from start to finish. Seismic Shockwaves get a nice early lead, make some very clean conversions into some powerful team fights, continue to strip farm away from their opponents, left them with nothing to do, no objectives to even really contest besides one Gold Fury while they took fire. And unfortunately, without any farm or anything to their name, you can't really do anything against that onslaught of damage.
Once you hit the 10-minute mark, it just felt like it was all Seismic Shockwaves. Where did we see them performing well, though, on Dark Omen? Where were there moments of greatness that they need to capture and bring to Game 2?
They were definitely getting some good CC chains when they were grouped up together. Unfortunately, whether they had the bubble or beads, or any other form of CC immunity, especially from that Geb shield, it's really hard to lock them down, especially when they're dropping that much damage on you. So this time, if they can really just coalesce and converge on those issues in that early game, not get picked, make sure that they're on time for buffs, counter gank whenever they do try to invade, and just keep themselves in that farm game, especially early on, to prevent that lead from forming, the snowball will not be rolling, and they'll be sitting in a much better position to utilize that synergy that we're starting to see budding.
For sure, and we got to throw credit to the man behind the action. It's the Rama, coupled with Ganondad. We're running so much damage, but look at that 10-0. Impeccable performance. You can't say anything else about it. The snipes were on point, the basics were hitting, and the positioning was beautiful. Great job there to ZakuZz.
Snipes on point. Autos landing, Kingfisher would be proud, and your teammates are even prouder because that was a very clean Rama game. Honestly, would not be surprised to see that banned out in game number 2 because, man, if nothing else, that Rama was nothing but an issue from start to finish.
So let's talk then about the upcoming P's and B's, which will be brought to us in just a second, I have to imagine. What change-ups are we looking for? We saw frontline, solo laners be prioritized. Forerunner, to his credit, he got run down quite a few times, but he was still living quite a bit of the action, and also was not really losing the lane until the grouping stage started to happen. So, do we still see the prioritization of these solo laners, or do you think we need to look for a change of pace?
It's definitely going to be valuable to try and look for a little bit more map presence in general, so finding a very strong jungler could be a good option, or even just fixing duo lane to really just get that early pressure and get an early lead to prevent that from happening. It's very possible that Dark Omen looks for something a little bit different this time to really set themselves up for a little bit better of an early game and get that pressure set up.
You mentioned in game one how Atlas's peel is very pick and choose. You have to really think about who you're going to give the suck to and who you're going to spit back out. And unfortunately, it doesn't really allow you too much for your back line if they get caught lacking. And bearing a Thoth, as well as a Sununos, like you said, CC immunity not really on their side. Hopefully, going to see a bit more safety on the side of Dark Omen to ensure that they survive those small engagements.
Overall, still, it was very well played by Seismic Shockwaves to recognize that there wasn't that CC immunity
Yeah.
and grab the dodgy for that Paolo to really just pull them in. It may not have worked all the time, but man, it certainly did some work. And when there's value, there's definitely a chance to run it back. So I would not be surprised to see Seismic Shockwaves either try and run that again, or Dark Omen try and ban it out, or just get some much better CC immunity in their base kit, something like Hachiman, maybe
Yeah.
even on her to try and get something that can escape from that.
Personally, I'd be more of a fan of the latter. I think it's always wiser to try to keep those bans in pocket for non-meta threats. And Daji, you're not going to see topping the player charts at any time in the near future for this patch. So I'd like to see them, perchance, even picking it themselves. That's some nice CC immunity for you. Stand up in the Pal. You saw it being used to, in fact, counter the hovering death a couple of times, which was fantastic play there from Ganondad as well. Seismic Shockwaves going to focus their attention onto some magical threats here. Baba Yaga and Ganesha off the field. Dark Omen sticking to the meta here. Yorm, Kali, and Marty.
Once again, we will see Shibalongi banned out in the top 3, so no options for that one. ADC still has a few gods left to pick from. Obviously, the Rama is still open, but it looks like Dark Omen going to go ahead and go straight for the Sun Wukong that was left open this time.
No ambiguity here. We know where this is going. It's our solo laner, so there's no counterplay there. Maybe Dark Omen thinking we're just getting a bit too clever for our own good.
Take
Let's just
pleasure
focus
in the crushing
nice,
of one's
clean, good picks.
enemies.
But we're seeing the Freaky Friday action here as Seismic Shockwaves locks in their counter of a Ravana. But to be fair, maybe he'll go to the jungle. You never know.
Maybe we see some Benny Q type of cooking. We see one of them in the mid lane. I think that'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, sure. I mean, why not? If you
Can
pick
you
a
keep
Thoth
up?
again, then that would be
Can you
troublesome
keep
just because Mystic Rush, root you down, stomp you out. But Seismic Shockwaves are no longer going to be keeping everything quite the same as game one as far as the God lineup because Adonza Burrow has entered the battle.
Not going to be seeing Rama on their side. Dark Omen does still have the option of picking that, but there are, of course, other things that they can choose. Still some supports that they could grab if you're comfortable with the Emoja. Emoja's really
To
solid.
shatter
Thor is still open.
mountains.
There goes the Thor.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely see a very potent solo jungle duo coming up from Dark Omen. So it's going to be a lot of really good lockdown and just damage that they can just burst them down with. So Seismic Shockwaves, they're facing a pretty serious threat.
depths!
I instantly like the safety of this comp a lot, but Charybdis, you're sacrificing some damage. Is it a sacrifice worth making, is the question, against Adonza?
It is a little bit less damage, but it's very high on the safety. So if you can escape from that uproarious rocket, or even if you're getting a much more
Greetings,
aggressive
friend.
support who's planning on diving, Dark Omen can certainly make that Charybdis work. However, Seismic Shockwaves getting a very potent support early on.
Recognizing, like you said, they are very dive oriented. If I uproarious rocket into the midst 5-man deep, I want to know that Scarab's got my back. So, gonna afford it. Khepri gonna be their lock-in. I'm curious to see what Dark Omen choose for their support. I hope it's still in the long lines of Peel, because Thor can provide that Peel with a Tectonic Rift. Sun Wukong doesn't quite have the on-demand CC that other solo laners might, but Seismic Shockwave is gonna opt to ban out some more aggressive solo lane or support lane options. Kuzenbo off the map.
Well, I don't know. Kuzenbo could go into the solo lane.
That's
seen it
true. You know,
before.
fair enough. But they already kind of have that covered, unless it's Sun Wukong support. But then we're just getting crazy.
Unless we see that Sun Wukong mid. Huh?
Okay,
Huh?
okay, you're cooking now. I got you. You can whip it in the kitchen, but I don't think they're gonna quite opt to maybe saute that idea up at the moment. Dark Omen are playing from behind, so I'm hopefully they have in their mind that we don't get too wily with it. I'd rather see safety and just security. Playing from behind is always a scary position because at this point you stand to lose a set. I want them to see it, play it straight, play it clean, play it fair.
Dark Omen does have some choices to be made, so they may not go quite all out with the Sun Wukong mid just yet. But, you know, a loaf of bread can dream. Maybe one day we'll get to see it, just not today. On the other side, Dark Omen does get rid of the Bakasura, because that could be a very potential problem. They do have the safety of Charybdis to escape from Regurgitate, but Seismic Shockwaves getting rid of 2 supports. The peel from Dark Omen definitely gonna need to be taking a look at them, because so far, without a support and a bunch of bans coming out, they don't have too many options left.
Lock in the Geb. Why not? We're continuing the Freaky Friday action. Just secure it in. Could be a solid thing to your name. But there's some things still on the chopping block here. You got your Moja, who's still available. You have Terra, who's been performing decently well this season. Though, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who's going to quite pair well against the Charybdis. Who do you want to see marching alongside the little girl for the duo lane?
Somebody who could either provide a little bit more of a dive to aid in the fact that Charybdis is extremely safe, or somebody who's really going to be able to accentuate a little bit of lack of damage coming out from Charybdis. You do still have those autos that can hurt a lot, but without the regular ability damage, unless you're going into that crit, Charybdis can do damage a little bit slower. So it looks like Dark Omen's looking for more CC heavy lockdown type of comp to burst them down, especially with the prot reduction on Charybdis 2. But right now, they do still have some time to pick and think about it, because Seismic Shockwaves have the first choice, and right now they still need presumably a jungle and a mid.
So Shockwaves.
I should have created a world that you did not exist
a
in.
god who can dish out damage, dive as she so pleases, get rezzed if she needs it. It's going to just contribute to the mobile comp that Seismic Shockwaves are building up.
They definitely have quite a bit of decent poke and dive already. Danzaburo coming in with a Burris Rocket, Ravana jumping in with that Mystic Rush. Tiamat can just jump in and do whatever she wants. So having that safety of the Scarab's Blessing gives them some extra options. Not to mention, if they need heal, Pepper's pretty solid on that too.
They're going to try to match that out, though, with a Maui and an Agni combination here. I mean, certainly an aggressive pick in the Maui. Do we think that gels well with the Charybdis?
The CC lockdown is going to be very good, so if they're managing to get a target picked out, they can really burn them down and just prevent them from trying to get away or do anything. But if you're not on the aggression and you're on the back foot, that's not going to feel very good, and it's going to make the Seismic Shockwaves dives that much stronger. But having some good CC immunity, especially with that safety of Charybdis, or the ability to just drop a landfall and save at least 1 or 2 of your teammates, even at the cost of your own life, there is still some safety. But Dark Omen, missing a little bit of damage, going to be relying a lot on the mid, jungle, and solo side to do a little bit of that work.
And we're also going to have some more safety afforded through the mid lane pick of Dark Omen with the Agni. I was honestly wondering why there wasn't an Agni pick last game. Maybe Troll just a bit more familiar on the Thoth, but I like what it provides, a bit more easy access to CC. Sure, your damage isn't coming from quite as far away, but hey, you have an easier dash to just get yourself out. You don't need to drop a glyph before to ensure yourself solid range and space. And also you have more easy to proc and more frequently available CC to your name. So some self-peel options here that are pretty solid for Dark Omen. Could decide to shore up some of those weaknesses we saw in Game 1. But, Jeering, there's only one way to find out. It's by getting into Game 2. We'll be right back in just a moment. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Smite Draft League Divine Division. Game 2 here between Dark Omen and Seismic Shockwaves. Seismic Shockwaves trying to put this one back into the dirt. Dark Omen trying to mount their comeback tour. I'm Deelo, joined here by JeeringLamb. And once again, I'm going to ask you, comp for comp, who we feeling has the edge.
Dark Omen is on the back foot a little bit here, so bringing a little bit of extra safety is going to be a good idea. But if they want to make some big plays, they're going to have to rely on the backs of their jungler Fission, who wasn't here in the last game, so we may be seeing a little bit of a switch up in their playstyle.
That's true, you know, sometimes a little bit of a change of pace is all you need, and certainly a change of pace in what their comp is capable of in terms of survivability. That being said, you do still have that semi-global presence in the ultimate. Do we want to see it being used the same way we saw game 1 in terms of cleanup, or should we have it be expended in a different means?
Having that dunk from Thor is a very aggressive option and gives you some great setup to do a lot of damage, especially since already doing some good damage in the mid lane.
Gonna try to keep up that pressure where we saw it kind of fall to the wayside in game 1. Solo lane is actually going to be an interesting one for me. Despite it being the same as far as the god lineups, it's going to be run by different people. And Forerunner, to his credit, was kind of holding it down for his team. And despite being on the different god, is actually still managing to do so. How do we like this matchup in general? We didn't get to really talk about it prior.
Right now, both of these characters do have some good safety and a lot of damage, but right now, Forerunner dropping the most of the damage. SwagMaster forced under tower with barely any HP left. Gonna have to be very, very cautious stepping up again.
Wondering if you're going to see some rotations, but you see one on each end from the dual lane. Going to be dropped onto Sponge Monkey. The shell's not going to save you if you're pulled back in. ZakuZz, not where you want to see that first blood falling, but Shockwave's going to take it anyway.
Khepri trying to get aggressive to get one more pluck, but unfortunately, Dash is just a little bit too far. Will take a tower shot for his troubles, but they do still manage to get the shield buff. And when you can get some extra farm and some chicken in your belly, everything is going to be feeling nice and okay.
You're hungry today, man. You mentioned chicken twice today, Jerry.
I was actually eating chicken earlier today.
That makes sense. Fair enough. Then how do we want to see this Tiamat cooked? Do we want to see Agni making her well done in the early game, where Tiamat is not quite at its strengths, or do we as Dark Omen need to play it back, just try to relax and slow the tempo?
Agni has a little bit of trouble in mid lane. Once you hit that level 5, you get a lot more potential and a little bit better access to CC and poke. But until then, you're mostly just trying to clear waves. So once that happens, especially with the Thor level 5, we're going to see some very aggressive potential in the mid lane. Unfortunately, Tiamat doesn't have quite the same options. Zano does have quite a bit of damage, but without Tiamat, you're kind of lacking a little bit of the damage from the mid laner there, since Tiamat really does shine in the late game, not quite so much in the early.
So hopefully going to see some of that pressure afforded in the mid, but already Susano lurking onto level 5 before Thor gets there, not the best indication for you. You want to see that Anvil of Dawn come up before you begin those high-risk engagements to keep the mid lane in the dirt. Meanwhile here, Totally Poggers not feeling good about being abducted here and plucked by the Khepri. I'm genuinely worried about Donza having the first kill. We saw what ZakuZz was capable of with a lead, and at this rate, you might be spelling the exact same story. Do we need more pressure here from the Thor in the left side?
It may be very prudent to go ahead and get that running, because once that rocket takes off, it's just going to explode right in their face.
And the Typhoon going to be dropped onto Forerunner, cut down. The Ox has been hunted. Fantastic work there by Ganondad to pick up and keep the ball rolling for Seismic Shockwaves. 2 kills in their pockets, 4 minutes in. Nice 1,000 gold lead to their credit. Fission might be trying to make a rotation on over. Takes to the skies, but what can you make of it, my friend? I think they've realized it fits the big 2-man stun, but not too much damage for it. It's going to be ZakuZz, the apple of their eye, but he's actually going to find a kill on a Totally Poggers of his own. Can you grab it? Scarab's Blessing coupled with the dash from Khepri throws a ball at them just for insult to injury. Fantastic work there from Seismic Shockwaves, putting that comp to perfect use.
Gotta give some huge credit to Broken, recognizing that being walled off meant you couldn't really give too much peel there. So being able to drop the Scarab's Blessing just in the nick of time after hitting level 5, save your teammate. That's some really good heads-up play right there. Really good credit to them. Great effort from Fission to try and make something happen, but man, Seismic Shockwaves is sure on top of it today.
Now DeceptionFusion once again underneath a bit of pressure. Do not want to be caught out there, but manages to save his life for now. Maybe enjoying the slow pace a bit more of the mid lane rather than the fast, high-paced jungle lifestyle. Forerunner now finding himself on the receiving end of a bit of a deficit, now just taking over level 7, and with Ganondad lurking to just put more pressure on, this could be troublesome. Here goes Susano just trying to amble on in, and here's the Blink Engage, gonna find the Typhoon pushed back into the midst of it, rooted down, but can they finish the job? Just slivers of health left, but form of the Ox gonna be able to knock them on up and bring himself back. Forerunner remains alive for just now.
Getting just enough mana to dash away will be just enough safety to survive once more, and a nice wall from Thor to prevent them from getting into tower to stop Forerunner's back. Some good teamwork there to secure the group up as well. Fission may not have all the kills, may not have the lead for his team, but still doing some great efforts to try and keep his team in as much as physically possible.
And that's what I like a lot more about this comp, just the easy peel that Thor provides, but gonna need more than peel to stop these invades. Ganondad is mollywopping him, but here's the presence from the Agni. Good Noxious Fume Stun, but for a few more seconds you can do nothing but watch as Ganondad ambles on out. Anvil of Dawn's been dropped. Landfall gonna block your path of escape, but Fission landing a few seconds after where Ganondad just was. Moved a bit too quickly for you, did he? And now he's right in front of you, slashing you down to 0. Fission will take a dive to the fountain. Not what you wanted to see. It was brilliant cohesion of the ultimates, just didn't quite find the mark. Totally poggers, once again, feeling the pain. This rocket's taking off. Fantastic work to the Danzaburou. Another kill for their pocket and the killing spree to the carry.
With a 3-0-0 Danzaburou, he is already blowing the competition up. Dark Omen not feeling very good about their duo lane, trying to make something happen in other places, but right now it is not really going their way. Ganondad getting very active across the map, despite Fission's best efforts, still getting some kills, and as much as Sponge Monkey is trying to soak up some of that damage and get some setup for the team, it's just not quite enough, and I just really feel bad for Dark Omen. They're doing some really good effort, making some really solid plays, but Seismic Shockwaves just basically tell them, not.
Yeah, absolute denial of that option. 5 kills to 0 here. They still need to find a way to get back onto the board just for the mental. But about 8 minutes into this game, about a 2k gold lead for Seismic Shockwaves. It's by no means out of their grasp, but the level leads are already starting to fall away. Mid lane, you see Agni down 2, and Tiamat, as we've said, if you enable her to get to late game, you're already in a world of hurt. So seeing that she's already going to be ticking into that phase of this game earlier than the Agni, it's not a happy story for you. The support's at least on the up and up. Maui going to be 1 level up on that Khepri, but if Khepri keeps playing how he does, I've got no problem with that. Ganondad going to try to catch Fish and Lakin, but this fish isn't quite out of water just yet. Retreats back to safety.
Speaking of safety, Charybdis needs to get to safety immediately because that's 3 barreling down.
Fission's going to take to the ultimate, but at this point, the fight's already over. Just going to have to opt to retreat back, provide your duo laner some company before he just backs on himself. Could be an engagement here from Sponge Monkey, but Legendary Fisherman, you are not my friend. Might need to take back to the lake, get some practice in DeceptionFusion. Gonna be feeling some big pressure consumed there by Reyhum. A nice kill there afforded to the Tiamat. Just lengthen that lead over your opposing mid laner.
With a 2-level lead and a 1v2 kill in the mid lane, that's going to be a very good feeling for Reyhum, but not so much a good feeling for DeceptionFusion or Sponge Monkey.
This is trouble. Now Forerunner's already used Shape of an Ox, and now he's in trouble. The Jetstream going to be on your back. Storm Kata going to slice you down. Killing spree there for Ganondad. Fission just going to grab some harpies, try to, get some comfort food in him, but that chicken's not quite tasting as good after you watched your solo laner just fall.
No, it's definitely not going to feel nearly as good, especially since Seismic Shockwave's now looking for some invades, and your mid laner now in danger.
Abducted. Jetstream has to dash away for safety. Gonna at least get some space onto him. But Shockwaves, happy with what they have so far. A 3k gold lead in their pocket. The question is, do we continue? You haven't seen much pressure on these objectives being afforded. It's mostly just been guerrilla tactics looking for small picks in the lanes and jungle. Do they continue to go by that game plan, or does that afford Dark Omen a chance to get back into this game?
Dark Omen's mid laner getting a second chance. Ganondad tried to drop the Jetstream onto Agni, but unfortunately just hit the corner of that Harpy's wings and does not end up getting the dash to chase in. So Dark Omen gets another chance to get a little bit of farm in their pockets compared to the nice lead Seismic Shockwaves have built for themselves. And with Gold Fury on the map 10 minutes in, we we're starting to get some objectives that they're going to be looking at.
Secure wise, I think there's some big ultimates on either side here that could really spell this Fury dropping in your favor, but ignoring the levels, ignoring the leads, just ability for ability here, who clocks in more? Uh-oh. Fusion might be finding out the hard way. That's Tiamat who's going to be clocking in. Gonna find it with the landfall, not quite. Just gonna wander around that island, do a bit of sightseeing. Fission's around the back end, but Ganondad, as well as Brooklyn to match. Fantastic engagement by Ganondad. Takes out DeceptionFusion where he thought he was safest. This man's experiencing all the deception here. Typhoon gonna lock down Fission for a bit longer before he takes to the sky. Has the shell for a bit more health, but here comes the Anvil of Dawn, landing right onto Ganondad. But the Scarab's Blessing to match. Reyhum gonna find that kill. ZakuZz in a different world right now. Gonna pick up totally poggers across all sides of the lane, coast to coast. Dark Omen are feeling the burn.
They're definitely catching some heat from Seismic Shockwaves. Managed to find multiple kills across the map. One a solo kill over in the duo lane. And now the Gold Fury is available, and with ward coverage and a lot of space, they got more than enough time to go ahead and pull that Gold Fury. Dark Omen, not really able to do much about it.
This is exactly what I was asking earlier, and they've answered the question for me. We'll wait for some of these guerrilla picks to maybe give us a bit more of an advantage. Instead of grabbing just one, we'll grab a couple, and then we'll amble our way to the objectives. And it's just going to lengthen this lead even further. Now, double-digit kills on the board. Nothing to say from Dark Omens. 0-10, about 12 minutes in, and a 5k gold lead to their name. Totally poggers can't even contest this purple buff lest he be grinded to a pulp by the Danzaburo. I'm not sure where they need to focus their attention at this point. Do you just need to start rolling 5-man deep death ball style, or do we continue to try to play the laning game?
Dark Omen not really able to take too many team fights right now. The disadvantage in levels is just a little bit too much for them to overcome at the moment. So trying to play the farm game as much as physically possible, you just want to get some farm in their pockets, get a little bit of gold so they can try and get some items to do something with it. With a deficit like this, all you can really do is play for the late game. And once everybody hits 20, then that advantage starts to mean a little bit less.
The only issue is Shockwaves have no issue, as we've seen before, with not letting them get to a late game. Fusion gonna be feeling that pain. The Abduct, alongside the Child of Creation, is gonna do so much potent damage, and the bead's gonna have to drop off the Ogden, which means the next engagement that goes like that is likely going to result in the mid laner's death. They're just getting caught out lacking too much. Seismic Shockwaves are playing confidently, but they have the reason and the stats to back it up. Reyhum just juking between, charging the Primordial Onslaught between three, realizing the support was there to assist, and Ganondad has the kill on the back end. Landfall gonna just take a back step right back into it, but juke him out with the Jet Stream, ultimately being put on a SwagMaster for the speed boost, and he's gonna be able to find the kill onto Fission. There's the Uproarious Rocket, gonna launch him to space, solid damage onto the Maui. Takes a little bit of a trip to the sky himself, so that looks like fun, but gonna be dropped to the ground soon enough by ZakuZz. Forerunners join the battle. Watch us from a bird's eye view as 4-5 members of Seismic Shockwaves mill about beneath him. Opts for the wise play, the safe play. I'm gonna go back to tower for a bit. Just another clean engagement by Seismic Shockwaves, and the Pyromancer is going to be next for them.
Some beautiful team play coming up. Shockwaves. You can tell just from the coordination of these abilities, they know how to work the team. They're pushing it to the maximum. Dark Omen just not able to find the to get in, but Seismic Shockwaves really not giving them any opportunity to try and make some of those plays.
I love the play from Brooklyn Raps here. He's shown that defensively, offensively, these Scarab Blessings are not a one-note tool, not one-dimensional, and neither is the play of this support. Enabling SwagMaster to get the extra push of speed needed was a fantastic way to grab Fission for the kill. So it's going to continue to be the Seismic Shockwaves dominance, but must be said here, Forerunner remaining, just like in Game 1, the hope by staying level for level with his opposition. They need to play through the Sun Wukong, or it's going to be easy pickings once again for the Shockwaves.
Forerunner really making the best efforts possible to try and keep in as much as possible. At this point, it's pretty difficult to get the rest of your team back to a point where they're even in levels, especially when the Seismic Shockwave support is just taking the disadvantage of losing his own farm to continue funneling that XP and gold to the backline, who are now both 3 and 4 levels up now in ADC. So it's really difficult for Dark Omen to try and get back in. Forerunner, on the other hand, recognizes if I can't get everybody the XP, at least having one person with some even levels is going to help.
Oh god, Sponge Monkey gonna take a quick solar swing, tries to find some space, but at least has some help to help you out there. No, he's just gonna take the form of a whirlpool. I'm sorry, my friend, I must leave you to the wolves. Landfall just gonna mark the territory where Sponge Monkey goes down. ZakuZz gonna grab another kill. Forerunner and Fission trying to make work of SwagMaster, but it's just not working out for you. 7%, 8%, doesn't matter if your health bar is at 0%, that shield is still gonna come up clutch. Forerunner, that tower siege is gonna completely fall onto its face. Why are you going back in, my friend? Do not double dip, you'll just end up the same way as your jungle. Primal Fury dropped as well by Seismic Shockwaves. Charybdis might be next in the midst of 4. Agni did a basic down a tower, but the real one who should be basicing anyone down is now out for the count. Dark Omen feeling the pain as Seismic Shockwaves continue rolling on forward.
Deception does manage to get a tower, so it's a little bit of extra farm in everybody's pocket, but it's not quite enough.
But Ganondad actually might be a nice prize for yourself. Fishing got to expend the beads, though not how you want to see that offensive play end. Ganondad remains alive, didn't even have to expend relics. It ends up being Fission who takes the worst end of that trade.
It's going to be a beautiful play, trying to go in there and get something done, but unfortunately, Fission was lacking just a little bit of power, and without full tier 3 item on that Hydra's, will not have quite enough damage to secure the kill on the Ganondad, despite his best efforts, which, to his credit, were very, very good efforts there.
Oh no, and Forerunner's caught out a bit lacking. If you find the 10-hand Shadow Fist, could be solid means for you to get back into this fight. Forerunner caught lacking by the Mystic Rush. Ganondad gonna try to put some more damage with the Wind Siphon. Great peel there from Fission, but a Typhoon might match it. Berserker's Barrage right in the middle of it. This guy is playing with fire, but they don't have the Agni quite yet to actually make good on that. And Forerunner's being pulled in the midst of multiple members. Ganondad's on the fritz, could be in some trouble here, but meantime, Fission's the one. Don't back there, my friend. What are you thinking? DeceptionFusion's consumed. Fission goes down to SwagMaster. Ganondad's still standing, and Sponge Monkey and Forerunner can't do much about it. Pull him back into the midst of the jungle, but he's just fine for it. Being abducted is Sponge Monkey. Basic down, unstoppable for the Danzaburo. 3 members fall on Dark Omen. Seismic Shockwaves are completely unfazed.
And I gotta give you credit. You talked about this Danzaburo earlier. What happens when the Danza gets ahead? And we're looking at 7-0-1 Danzaburo. 4 levels up.
Gross.
If that's not a nice lead for Danzaburo, I don't really know what is, because this is just commanding. Seismic Shockwaves taking advantages in every single lane. Forerunner, who's trying to stay as even as possible, can only do so much, as now Totally Fogger's getting caught out by SwagMaster. Whirlpool only gonna help you so much.
And the Maw has been expended, but the up-down's gonna dodge it. Ganondad's gonna be here in just a moment. Not much that Totally Poggers can do but expend both relics as a tribute to your own life, and SwagMaster will pick up that kill. You just can't get unsafe farm. You need to wait for the minions to jump to you. Bastions and towers are nice and all, but those shiny things can wait. Your life is what's most important, my friend. Ganondad and SwagMaster, a 2-man escort into the enemy jungle, but they're standing just fine for it. But let's see if they can make something of it. Dark Omen saying, we're going to dedicate resources to this. Anvil of Dawn might land on Ganondad. He's used the Storm Kata. It's a bit off the mark, though. Unfortunate engage there for Fission. Tries to wall off the approaching wrong one, but he's still got the same performance to his name. Picks up the kill. Sponge Monkey going to be next. Reyhum gets a double, and now on the rampage. Forerunner going to have to run for his life. But ascending to the cloud, what can you really do when the Khepri comes lurking? DeceptionFusion making a bit of an appearance over here in the solo for his credit. Tries to grab farm wherever he can. But meanwhile, it's the solo laner doing your job. Trying to stand up against 5 members strong of Seismic Shockwaves as they stand to this tier 2 tower.
Forerunner just trying to stall Seismic Shockwaves just a little bit longer. Deception does manage to get some farm. Managed to get within a level and a half from the opposing mid laner, but right now Seismic Shockwaves are just a little bit too large, and in 20 minutes are going to be going straight for the Fire Giant. Dark Omen, no matter how much they try, the Seismic Shockwaves will continue to fry them up.
And Forerunner is the only one to stand even remotely against this, but not going to be anything more than a show of face. Seismic Shockwaves declare the Fire Giant theirs at 20 minutes. It's a 9,000 gold lead to their name. Any farm they try to grab on Dark Omen feels unsafe, but they're going to try nonetheless. I respect it, but you got to be careful. At the very least, they know Seismic Shockwaves positioned on the right side. They can farm to their heart's content, grab some snacks, take them home. But after that, what do you do?
Right now, Dark Omen just trying to take whatever pieces of farm that they can, which really is all that they can do right now. Seismic Shockwaves, any neutral farm that they can test, Seismic Shockwaves are pretty liable to end up winning that engagement. Dark Omen recognizes that fact, giving them the respect that they deserve right now. And just any time they appear on the map, immediately leaving the Ganondad looking for the engage.
And unfortunately, the one hope we mentioned earlier, Sun Wukong, has finally slipped off his throne. The Monkey King has been usurped. Now 2 levels behind, and Forerunner going to be feeling the pain for it. Pulled back into Ganondad's clutches. Some solid damage. Ganondad's pulled back in for his credit. See how you like it, my friend. Not too much, do you? But Forerunner can't really do much. Alongside Sponge Monkeys, Seismic Shockwaves destroy another Fury to their name. They need to disengage to safety. Who is the target here? It seems we're a bit disconcerted and a bit discombobulated for Dark Omen. We're not quite sure who to focus our aggressions on, and when you're this far behind, you have to have your comms tight. Who's the first one off the board on Seismic Shockwaves?
Dark Omen's got to try and get one pick. Ganondad is often the first one to engage, but another good option is anybody who dives in like SwagMaster, taking a little bit of heat right now.
Taking a lot more, though, Sponge Monkey. Just trying to stay in the sky for as long as you can, my friend. But the ground is where you belong, Ganondad says. A nice kill there for DeceptionFusion. The Maw needs to be used just for safety. There's a good stun on a SwagMaster, but just a tiny nibble of damage. ZakuZz going to find Fishin', and that's going to be the left side Phoenix in just a moment. Forerunner doesn't quite know whether he wants to engage on this or not. Just need to wait for one more minion wave before Seismic Shockwaves make their siege. Taking a bit of damage there as Brooklyn wraps, but the bombs not quite as potent as you might hope, my friend. Forerunner just going to try to use that magic cudgel to stave off the opposing members, but it's not going to be a success. Mid-Phoenix going to be looked at next after you get the tier 2 tower. Please make sure you know your order of operations there, my friend. Reyhum caught in beneath the doors. Could be in some trouble here, but you have the Scarab's Blessing. Even if a member of Seismic Shockwaves gets caught lacking, Brooklyn Raps has been so on point with these ults that I don't know what Dark Omen can do to counter it.
Also, not to mention, Brooklyn Raps 0-0 and 11. Really
Broken!
putting in some great work as this Khepri. This is like a support's dream right now. Keeping your team alive, not a single death on your entire team. Not even to tower, not even to an NPC. That's got to be a great feeling for the Seismic Shockwave support, who really is doing a fantastic job for the team.
Forerunner just going to try to grab a blue bluff. I mean, it's all bluff at this point, though. Anytime that Dark Omen try to step up, Seismic Shockwaves have full confidence in their ability to take the team fight convincingly as they begin to amble down the right side. The only place where Dark Omen had some sort of foothold, Forerunner has to just watch as his work is crumbling to pieces. Tier 1 tower will soon fall. Stygian Beacon going to open up soon, but is the Titan battle going to save you? I don't have high hopes, Jeering.
Dark Omen is probably not going to end up winning that Titan, despite both of them having about the same HP and damage output. Seismic Shockwaves do have 5 members with a little bit more output of damage. And Dark Omen, already underneath their Phoenix, not going to be able to do too much about it.
Forerunner going aggressive with that Somersault Cloud, just wants to put some higher damage numbers on the board, trying to catch up to the 4 members of Seismic Shockwaves that stand above you, trying to get past this Ravana. Not going to succeed to that endeavor. Stygian Beacon back up. Seismic Shockwaves, no. They have all the time in the world. With left Phoenix down, they can grab this beacon and use the Titan like the massive siege juggernaut it is to keep on pushing.
Keep in mind, about the time that those Titans are going to be meeting, that Fire Giant is already going to be spawned. So Seismic Shockwaves has a golden opportunity for themselves to just get rid of the Titan, get a siege juggernaut throwing down that lane, and even take Fire Giant while they're at it for their troubles, if not just straight up win the game off of a really good team fight if Dark Omen steps up too far.
And their game plan for Dark Omen, like you said, it's got to be to collapse on a one member. You mentioned Ganondad, SwagMaster's been a bit overzealous sometimes with these engagements, but when you have Brooklyn Raps on your team, never lost, never punished. Do you need to bait out the ultimate, or do you just try to dedicate all the resources and hope to God that Brooklyn Raps is either distracted enough, or he stubs his toe, or that the ultimate was just not in range for them to finally secure someone's life once again, as Fire Giant is going to be looked at by Seismic Shockwaves. Fission going to be looked at here by SwagMaster. Those basics, man, just doing dividends here. Ganondad with the rotation. Mystic Rush to match. Can you get the kill before he takes off? Indeed he will. Fire Giant pretty low, but Seismic Shockwaves will grab it. Unfortunately, Sponge Monkey couldn't quite do much about that. And now the front line caught in deep. All 5 members standing against it. A big 4-man pull, but just going to stand to watch as he falls to Ganondad's blade. Totally Poggers, to his credit, trying to afford some pressure here in the left lane as the tier 2 is looked at, but the Titans march. And just as they do, Seismic Shockwaves prepare to get onto this right side bird.
Seismic Shockwaves doing a lot of good pressure, but Dark Omen trying to make something happen wherever they can. Sponge Monkey doing a great job of trying to stall Seismic Shockwaves after failing to steal the Fire Giant. But unfortunately, as a level 13 support against that team, you're only going to be able to stall for just so long before inevitably you do end up falling back down. And unfortunately, you had to learn that one the hard way.
You never want to say that a game is out. It looks very grim right now for Dark Omen as Seismic Shockwaves scuttle their way underneath.
I think they have them right where they want them. This is perfect.
This is. You see the just shimmering blue wave of energy, the Prophet of Doom to the Titan is to the right side. Gonna try to drop some bombs, have a bit of poke damage, but Sponge Monkey's looking worse for wear as well. Fishing gonna land in the midst of none. Not gonna quite make that Anvil of Dawn go to good use. A Primordial Onslaught as the punish. And the Phoenix will begin to get mollywopped here by the right side Titan. It's going to be Sponge Monkey, might be the first one. Manages to dodge the high winds, but nonetheless cannot manage to dodge this Primordial Onslaught. Reyhum is indeed unstoppable. Forerunner might be next on the chopping block. Khepri could go down the maw. Solid damage, but just not quite enough. Wish you had a Sununos now, don't you? The Titan's still standing at half health, and with Ruinations dropping on top of your head, Tiamat can just continue to spam away. The Battle of Rock'em Sock'em Robots begins, and that gives Seismic Shockwaves their opening to drop bombs and damage on this mid-Phoenix, and the left side will stand for just a moment longer before you can only imagine they make their push there as well. It's just looking so dire. Sponge Monkey comes back up in 3, but by then you might already all be lost. Storm Katah gonna find Fission. We're fishing for kills now. DeceptionFusion goes down to Ganondad. Nice double to Susano. They're ambling their way into the fountain. Nothing can be denied to SwagMaster. Shape of an ox and going to manage to get back to the fountain, but pulled back out by Ganondad. Titan starting to drop though, quartered down of its health. Can you find the damage to deny them this one game 2 victory? SwagMaster gonna put a Mystic Rush into its back. It's down to a quarter, and Seismic Shockwave's gonna shake it up once again. Sub 30-minute victory. It's all over. Dark Omen feeling the pain. Quick, decisive, efficient. That's the game plan of Seismic Shockwaves, and they executed. Jeering, talk to me about what happened here.
Seismic Shockwaves managed to start the ball rolling pretty early. They got that early lead. They started just pressing the gas a little bit in that early game, and when they realized that they were able to win those team fights, especially early on, before that Thor was able to hit level 5, they said pedal to the metal, and there is no stopping us now. And that was just all they needed to hear. It was lights, camera, and action. Dark Omen tried to make something happen multiple times, and they made a really good effort, showing some really good team synergy as well. But unfortunately, the level deficit, and especially the item deficit, just ended up being too much of a game changer that Seismic Shockwaves just became unstoppable.
It's really rough to go up against just an uncontested game. There's no way around that. It's not going to feel the best, but I do hope the members of Dark Omen take this, look at it for what it was. It was a tough loss, but there's things to look at here, there's things to improve on, and there's things to keep the same. I think the idea behind the comp made sense. Coming off a decisive victory, we want to make sure we're playing a bit safer. I just think sometimes the gameplay didn't align with that decision that they made at the P's and B's phase. But overall, I'd say solid effort to both teams. Seismic Shockwaves come away with it, but Dark Omen certainly put up a hell of a fight. That being said, it's all we got here for you today. Thank you very much for watching Week 3 Divine Division between Seismic Shockwaves and Dark Omen. I've been Deelo. He's been JeeringLamb. We had iNooblet up on the cams and behind the production. Thank you very much for that, my friend. And with that, make sure to keep an eye out for all Twitch content, YouTube content. Buy some jerseys, why don't you? Those things are beautiful. And we'll see you all next time.